Welcome, Sagittarius, to your July Moon Magic Deep Dive Forecast for the Ascendant, the Sun, or the Moon. July is a month with an enormous amount of astrological action, but at its heart is the pulse of the moon. I'm going to unpack the month from a lunar perspective, and by the end of the video, you have a clear picture of what's upcoming in terms of your vitality, work, relationships, and finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. Thank you so much for joining me. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. As June came to a close, we had a full moon in the practical Capricorn, and that energy provides a backdrop through the first 2 weeks of the new month of July. But on the full moon, Mercury, the communicator, went into a retrograde. But Mercury is also about precision, and for you, it's in the eighth house, which is very much to do with long-term finances, but can be to do with those you share with others. But the sun in that part of your chart in an opposition with the moon in the practical Capricorn. Now, the moon in Capricorn is asking you to keep it real, stay grounded, look at the details, and be a bit protective. It's a cautious zodiac sign around your everyday resources, but it can also get you thinking about your self-worth and values, perhaps in terms of your connections to other people, which can be represented by the eighth house. And if there is a tie which is going well, you can get closer to someone, more intimate, but also the converse can be true. And intersecting the position of the moon and the sun is the dreamy, drifting energies of Neptune. Now, Neptune is a very inspirational planet and can provide so much energy in a positive way for you in the years to come in Aries. But on this event, if you are thinking of doing something that is more speculative, that is a bit more of a punt, I really would be cautious. Use that moon in Capricorn energy through the first 2 weeks of July to make sure you double check everything, particularly with Mercury retrograde. But of course, your ruler, Jupiter, also moved at the end of last month into a new home of Leo. And that is actually really exciting for you. And there's going to be some particularly exciting news by the end of the month. But let's just fast forward to the 7th. We have the quarter moon, we have two a month. This one's in Aries, and it is in a conjunction with Saturn in that fifth house. Now, Saturn in the fifth house is suggesting you've got to work to enjoy yourself over the next couple of years, or work on your talents and work hard. So having the moon on Saturn is a very serious combination. So in that square to the position of the sun can deplete us of vitality, bit like driving the car with the handbrake on. But furthermore, if you are wanting to get closer to someone, there could be a sense of inhibition around it. Just be aware, however, that with Uranus and Mars on your seventh house in a conjunction, leaning back into a great link with Pluto, you could have some fabulous connections. So it just depends on your unique circumstances. But equally, if you're not enjoying it, Uranus and Mars together, linking up to Jupiter in your sector of freedom, could see you think about heading towards the door marked exit. So if there's something that feels controlling, coercing, uh, anything that's perhaps a bit possessive, it won't really work for you. And that part of you that can be very much a free spirit can be activated on that quarter moon. That brings us to the new moon in Cancer at the heart of the month. Uh, New moons in Cancer are wonderful because it rules that zodiac sign. This one has Mercury in the retrograde in the mix, but Mercury's in a square with Saturn. So once more, not a great time to be too free and easy if you're thinking about trying to grow your resources. I feel that anything that is more of a risky punk, not saying that you're going to do something very risky, but if it's something that's more based on intuition rather than having all the details, proceed with care. Also, Uranus on that seventh house customer relationships is clashing with Venus. If there is a relationship of any kind, it may even be with a colleague that feels a bit kind of heavy. You may want again to create a bit more space. However, what we do have is on the next quarter moon, which happens to be in Libra, which ironically is where was the first quarter moon of when the sun moved into Cancer. So just as it's leaving, we get a repetition. And for you, that's the 11th house, which can be friendly, sociable, and fun. But is there a friend that you feel maybe tends to leverage you a little bit in terms of your time and energy? That could show up through that event. And also, just to say that we have a square between Mars and Venus through the last 10 days. So, Mars in your seventh house can be great to be go getting, the thrill of the chase around relationship. But it could also, in that square with Venus, see you attracted to someone at work, but it may also see you much more minded to break free of something that doesn't work for you. And with Uranus in the sextile to Jupiter, that's particularly accentuated. Brings us through to the Aquarius full moon on the 29th. And it's a day when your ruler Jupiter forges an exact alliance with the Sun, a cazimi, for the first time since 2015. Absolutely fantastic for you, particularly if you do want to head off on a journey, a holiday. Uh, an educational course could work really well at this time. It really can be very inspiring, but they are in an opposition to the moon, but also Pluto. So there could be quite a highly charged atmosphere at the end of this month. So if your situation is light and breezy, it won't show up because of the energies of Neptune and Uranus are very helpful, but Mars is still clashing with Venus. And I think if you find yourself discussing world affairs, uh, politics, different philosophies, you could have a mighty exchange. Doesn't mean to say you're going to lose, but it's not necessarily about who wins, but it could be a little bit attritional. So just bear that in mind. So at the end of the month, we have a fabulously bright cazimi, but it does see Mars squaring with Venus and Saturn squaring with Mercury. So you could fall out with someone big time if you have very different views. So to characterize the month as a whole, the first two-thirds is quite intense. And it's quite intense in terms of evolving, but evolving can be actually good, even if it is at times a bit painful if we grow through that. But I think really and truly, Neptune and Saturn are the bugbears for you. And I think Uranus and Mars are, if you like, the agent provocateurs. They could see you suddenly making your mind up to break free of something simply because it just feels all too heavy and bogged down and not your cup of tea. But when we get through the last 10 days, it does get a lot more exciting for you. But I think the key with that full moon at the end of the month is to try to keep the lines of communication open without taking a really set position. And they're both in fixed signs. So there could be some unyielding exchanges, I feel. I'm going to summarize those four areas of vitality work, relationships and finances next, Sagittarius. I've reduced the price of my personal horoscope reports. For many years, it was buy two, get 30% off. It's now buy one and get three for the price of one. Why? Because of the cost of living increases. I want to make these as accessible as possible still. The one you pay for, your life roadmap report, helps us to understand our patterns. Free, the 12 months transit, and the draconic soul karmic analysis, which is truly fascinating. Please see below for more. If you've yet to watch my monthly forecast for July general, or your Jupiter into Leo 13-month forecast, please click on the eye on the screen, and that will take you through to the videos. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, it would be a pleasure. Please see my testimonials below. If you've yet to sign up for your free daily written horoscope, you can do that below too. And please join me for your every morning celestial pit stop. So to summarize, as far as energy is concerned, I think you're a very, or can be, a very free spirited person. And it may be around your love life, your social life, that actually you find things are a bit drained if somehow or another it feels that someone has an attachment or has an expectation of how you should be. That's something that really goes counter to your nature. But also with Chiron in the sixth house, if there is a niggling health issue you've had, as Jupiter squares it at the start of the month, don't, be tempted to sort of, fob it off with, oh, nothing gets me down type of approach. I don't think that's a very good thing to do. Relationships can be exciting with Uranus and Mars in that seventh house, particularly if you're single. But if you're in a relationship already, Mars in the square with Venus could up the ante when it comes to personal attraction. It could get very amorous, but equally, maybe one of the partners could get a bit picky with Venus in Virgo. I feel that the potential for financial advancement this month needs care. Probably the best one of all is on the Capricorn full moon with the Mercury conjunct Jupiter. If there is something that you're trading or working on that has built up to the culmination of that full moon, you could get some reward on that. But generally, through that full moon, you do need to take care to balance the books through the first 2 weeks. When it comes to your professional situation, Venus is at the top of your chart as we go into the month, but by the time, well, it's the ninth, it moves into the sign of Virgo. So using some patient charm could work well, but I think it's going to be a month as it goes on that it will be difficult to be patient. But your powers of persuasion are definitely turned up to max as this month draws to a close. Thank you for joining me, Sagittarius. All the best and bye.